Welcome back. All right, so we are 1 week away from the 2025 NHL entry draft, and I figured now is as good a time as any to do a mock draft. And I expect this to be absolutely highly inaccurate because really players could go in almost any order. Once you get past the first couple, and it does feel like number one is highly likely to be a defenseman, and that it's going to be Matthew Schaefer. That definitely seems like that's the consensus pick for the New York Islanders at one. 17 games played, 7 goals, 15 assists, 22 points. Played in the OHL. He is 6'2". So Schaefer, NHL projectable size. All the reports on his play this year were excellent. He did play fewer games than one would hope for a number one overall draft pick, but it really does feel like that's what's happening there. At second, San Jose would draft center slash left winger Michael Misa. So another top notch forward for that San Jose team that is building quickly right now. It feels like with Celebrini, with Smith, then you've got Misa, and then you've already got Eklund. This team is going to have a lot of very good young forwards. And then after that, the idea that there's agreements. Well, there is and there isn't. But I'll go with where I think number three is going to go. There are a few players that I think could go here, but I will go with to the Chicago Blackhawks. Anton Frondell. I keep wanting to write Frondell. I think Lundell gets stuck in my head, so Frondell. I'll even fix the O. How does that sound? But yeah, he's a center, and for the Chicago Blackhawks, it'd be another very good young forward joining a team that is going to start climbing, I think, this coming season. So those are your top three, which means at number four, going to Utah. It really is where things get difficult to me personally. I kind of like Martone here. Or Denwye. Yeah, Martone's a winger. So I will go with center Caleb Denwye. Centers always go highly in the draft. They're always drafted higher than wingers, at least usually. So I'll go with Caleb Denwye to the Utah Hockey Club. And then at five, and it feels like this is probably the way this ends up going, but we'll see. It's another center. James Higgins. James Higgins was at one point in time considered to be the top prospect in this draft. He has slid on a lot of lists, but it doesn't look like many people are taking him to fall out of the top five. I will agree. I don't think Higgins drops out of the top five, and I think he ends up going to Nashville. So we'll see how accurate that ends up being. But that's the top five. And then at six, going to Philadelphia. So are they going to take a center? Or are they going to take a winger? Because if they take a winger, Martone would work here. That's the real question I have. I'll go with Martone. Martone's one of those players that if he was a center, he'd probably be ranked a little bit higher. So I'll go with Porter Martone to the Philadelphia Flyers at six. Martone could go as high as three, but yeah, it's a really wide open draft, so we shall find out soon enough. Number seven, and mock drafts I saw had McQueen going at seven to Boston. A couple of cases, I don't, just as a Boston fan and looking at the fact that McQueen you're dealing with an injury, I'm not sure that McQueen would be the pick here. They do need a center. You know what? I'll have them go off the board a little bit. And the first player I haven't talked about, I'll say Brady Martin goes to the Boston Bruins at 7. Yeah. I'll go with Brady Martin at 7. At 8, and there were a lot of Seattle fans that felt like this one would work. So, you know what, Seattle fans, I'll agree with you. And I'll say Murtka goes to the Seattle Kraken. He was a Seattle Thunderbird. He's a defenseman. So I'll say Radim Murtka ends up going at 8th. At 9th, I can't see center Jake O'Brien getting past Buffalo. And this is where it gets tough too, because I could absolutely see Martin going at 9, O'Brien going at 7, but it's just these players, they're all very similar. It really is a matter of what your personal preference is, and so general managers, it'll be much the same, but I can't see O'Brien sliding past 9, just personally. So at 10, to Anaheim, I'll have Roger McQueen go there. And say, if Anaheim is able to get him through his injury, he could end up being a steal at number 10. I dropped the cap from my marker. That's fine. It's fine. It happens all the time. We're only halfway through. So let's go ahead and move on to number 11. Easier said than done, isn't it? 11. I really do like Eklund, but there's a belief that Pittsburgh could look at a defenseman. I'm going to go Jackson Smith. Defenseman, I'll have him drafted by Pittsburgh. So, looking for a blue liner, sure. Pittsburgh, of course, going into likely a rebuild, and they could absolutely use a top-notch blue liner there. Number 12 for the Rangers. Center/left winger, Carter Bear. I'll have Carter Bear go to the New York Rangers. So I've done videos on all of these players except Brady Martin. I will be doing other prospect videos between now and the draft. And then when the draft is done, I'll do videos on notables from the first or second round that I have not done videos on that I think would make for interesting prospect videos. But yeah, I'll go with Carter Barrett, number 12 to the New York Rangers. At 13, I should be checking these off on that book, but I'm not. Yeah, I can't drop them any further. Left wing, Victor Eklund. Goes at 13 to Detroit. And based on reports, that could be a steal at 13. But I've got center, because I know how these drafts very often go. So I'll have Victor Eklund, a left winger, going to at 13 to the Detroit Red Wings. They've had some very strong success with Swedish players in the past, so why not go to that well again? At 14, no. Okay, to Columbus, a defenseman. Absolutely a defenseman. Where is he? I just had him. There he is. Kashawn Aitchison. So I have a defenseman going to Columbus at 14. His offensive numbers are fantastic. So I know that I want to do a video on Aitchison. I want to do a video on Brady Martin before the draft. Aitchison, that offense, the goals from the blue line, Why not have Columbus pick him up? Sure, they've got a good defense, but you can always use another defensive prospect, right? You can't have too much defense in the National Hockey League. Number 15, so this is the Vancouver pick. Who would I want Vancouver to pick at 15? I think they'll go with the center. I know they're very likely to go with a forward. Center Braden Coots. So I'll have Coots go at 15 to the Vancouver Canucks. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but who knows what if any of these are going to happen. Yeah, I'll go with Braden Coots to 15 to Vancouver. Center. Stands at 6 feet tall, 63 points, playing out of the WHL this year. As good a pick as any. Then we get into Montreal having back-to-backs. And to me, right winger. Justin Carbonneau. No relation to Guy, I checked. First thing I did was go on to Elite Prospects and go, is any relation to Guy Carbonneau? He is not. But with the last name Carbonneau, he belongs in Montreal. He's a player out of the QMJHL. One thing that people do talk about is, how Montreal doesn't have as many French players as they once did. And I would say that it might benefit Montreal to pick up some good players that are born in Quebec. So Carbonneau definitely qualifies for that at right wing. But Montreal still up next. And at 17, there are a couple of different ways they can go with this. I will say, forward. So I have him drafting 2 forwards. Linden, is that an EN or ON? EN. Lakovic. So I have Montreal drafting back-to-back, and I'm not speculating on any of these that might get traded. There might be trades at the draft table. But I'll say Linden Lakovic to Montreal. There might be trades of a couple of these picks before we get to the draft as well. So who knows? Maybe it's not just going to be who gets picked where that ages poorly. Maybe just the fact that certain teams end up moving picks is going to make this whole thing age poorly. But Carbonneau has to be a Montreal Canadian, right? Has to be. Has some power forward potential there too. So not exactly like Guy Carbonneau in terms of his overall game. Not anything like Guy Carbonneau in his overall game, but last name's Carbonneau. You've got to draft him. He's got to go to Montreal. Number 18. I think to Calgary, a pick they got from New Jersey. I'll have Jack Nesbitt. Of course, Nesbitt's a name that anytime I hear it, I think of Buzz Lightyear. Mrs. Nesbitt, when he's out, when he's at Sid's house. Anyways, Jack Nesbitt, center, and in my head, all I hear is Buzz Lightyear saying Mrs. Nesbitt. But at any rate, I should say, that's who I have going to the Calgary Flames. Number 19. Okay, for St. Louis, would it make more sense to go with a forward or defenseman at this point? I always say best player available. If I'm going with best player available, that probably at this point, right winger, Benjamin Kindle. Kindel, not spelled like the little reader you get from Amazon. So yeah, Benjamin Kindle, right wing, going to St. Louis, and then I'm gonna jump on what I've seen in a few of the mock drafts. A goaltender going to Columbus at number 20, and that being Joshua. Ravensbergen. I don't know how many times I'm going to write Ravensburger, but it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a large number of times that I write Ravensbergen as Ravensburger, so I'm going to apologize for that. But I'll have Columbus taking a goaltender at number 20 with the pick they got from the Minnesota Wild. So there you go, my picks for the top 20. You guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. It is, of course, just for fun, but let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. I will talk to you again soon.